Barakati Hall, Barakati Hall Shine, Barakati Hall Bashimi Hall Shine, Bashim Hall Kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who want to teach well. And I want to say Shalom to Fulet. All right, your brother Karate is out back with another lesson. And I'm going to go into this book called Without Sanctuary. All right, I know brothers have read through this book and probably have done numerous lessons upon the situations that are within this book. Okay, this book is about Esau's hatred basically towards you so-called Negroes, man. Okay, all right, and the lynchings and murders and burnings that he has, the atrocities that he has committed against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians as a whole. Okay, all right. But this book shows mainly you so-called Negroes. Okay, and we can go into other books in the sense of history, like the book by Bartholomew de la Casas, all right, and the book Black Indians, all right, and how it shows, Jake being mistreated by you so-called white people, all right. Shalom, Habashima, Shabashim, Karakadarsh, Baratah, all right. But I'm gonna get some precepts right quick, all right, because when you hate something and or somebody through the spirit of the Lord, all right, it's always going to be forever. And Esau hates you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians forever, man. All right, and I'm gonna start off with this in the book of Genesis. This is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, so Esau said this in his mind, all right, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. All right, so the days of mourning. So when Isaac passed away, they did their little mourning situation, okay? Then Esau said in his mind, hey, I'm gonna kill Jacob, man. All right. And that hatred is still here and it's still alive and very in well living effect today, man. Okay, all right. I'm gonna keep reading verse 42. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she went and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Okay. So verse 42 in my footnotes for purposing, it says by intending. Okay, so Esau's intention to kill you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And within his book, he did so, man. All right. Within the school system, he kills you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Within the workforce, he continues to kill you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Within the air you breathe, within the food you eat, within the community. All right. This so-called white man is purposely in killing you. All right. And it's all through the spirit of the Lord, okay? All right, because the Lord is in charge of everything and everybody at the end of the day and or the beginning of it. So with knowing that the Lord is in charge, we should be fearing him, all right, and not Esau Edom, all right, because Esau Edom is just the Lord's witness stick, okay? All right, so I'm gonna read a couple of accounts out of here, and I'm gonna go back and forth between the scriptures, all right, as much as the Lord allows, all right. It is so much. It is so much, man. Okay, that we can read and try to comprehend, but there's more that we don't even know about that the Lord hasn't revealed unto us yet. Okay, and the Lord's going to reveal a lot of things unto us here in these coming times, man. So we can expose Esau, man, for the devil that he is. All right. So this is about a guy named Sam Hose at the beginning of the book. All right, he was accused of killing his boss with the axe. All right, but this is what he did. This is what they did to this man. All right, it says the story of Sam Hose's fate did not, after stripping Hose of his clothes and chaining him to a tree, the self-appointed executioners stacked kerosene-soaked wood high around him, Before saturating holes with oil and applying the torch, they cut off his fingers, ears, and genitals and skinned his face. While some in the crowd plunged knives in the victim's flesh, others watched with unfeigned satisfaction. All right, and these Edomites are mad people, man. When I say mad, they're crazy, man. All right, they are, Esau. In the scriptures, he's known as a cunning hunter, man. All right, and Jake was a man that dwelt in tents. All right, so this is part of Esau's characteristics. All right, that cunning hunter characteristics. All right, the contortions of Sam Holes's body as the flames rose, distorting his features, causing his eyes to bulge out of his socket and the rupturing of his veins. The only sound that came from the victim's lips, even as the blood sizzled in the fire, were, "Oh my God." Then it says, "Oh Jesus," but we know the name of is Yahushua, okay? All right. Before Hos's body had even cooled, the heart and the liver were removed and cut into several pieces, and his bones were crushed into small particles. All right, that's the wickedness of Esau that he has. That's murder, man. All right, that he straight killed Jake for no reason. All right, and that gross and uh, distorted way, man. All right, there's no rhyme or reason for you to be cutting people up and dismembering their bodies and setting them on fire, man. Okay, but all these things that Esau Edom has done, best believe is going to come back unto him, man. Okay, all right. Let me see. It says here, thousands of black, we're not black, but Negro, all right, so-called black men and women met the same fate, varying only in degrees of torture and brutality. All right, so there was many uh there was various ways of how Jake was put to death by the hands of Esau, man. All right. Going down here, it says newspaper articles dutifully reported the events under such lurid headlines as "Colored Man Roasted Alive." All right, that's one of the headlines that they had. Describing in graphic detail the slow and methodical agony and death of the victim with a devising vocabulary that would benefit the occasion. The public burning of a Negro would soon be known as a Negro barbecue, all right, reinforcing the perception of Jake, all right, of you so-called Negroes as less than human. So let's look up Negro barbecue, all right, because this is Esau. You gotta pay for this, man. All right, Negro barbecue. And we know what it is. Basically, they burning Jake at the trees after they hung them, so on and so forth. All right, I'm gonna go to some of the images, and I know some of the images is going to be what's within this book. It says black picnics and lynchings. All right, the Waco horror, undefeated, and of course, they got black and white pictures of Jake being barbecued or what have you. But here you go, right here on this side right here. My bad. These two pictures on this side right here, the Negro barbecue, man. All right, this is what Jake has went through because of the perpetual hatred of Esau Edom, man. All right, things of that nature, man. All right, and we already know Esau's gonna pay for this, man. All right, here goes a story of Mary Turner. All right. The brutalities meted out in these years often exceeded the most vivid of imaginations. After learning of the lynching of her husband, Mary Turner, in her 8 months of pregnancy, vowed to find those responsible, swear out warrants against them, and have them punished in the courts. So Jake Loudmouth, being the nigger woman that she is, saying what she gonna do about certain situations when we know we're not in control of anything, right? For making such a threat, a mob of several hundred men and women determined to teach her a lesson. After tying her ankles together, they hung her from a tree, head downward, dousing her clothes with gasoline. They burned them from her body, so they burned her clothes after they hung her upside down, right? While she was still alive, someone with the knife ordinarily reserved for splitting hogs to cut open the woman's abdomen. The infant fell out. The infant fell from her womb to the ground and cried briefly. Whereupon a member of the Valdosta, Slovakia, Georgia mob crushed the baby's head beneath his heel. Hundreds of bullets were then fired into Mary Turner's body, completing the work of the mob. The Associated Press, in its notice after the affair, observed that Mary Turner had made unwise remarks about the execution of her husband, and the people in their indignant mood took expectation to her remarks as well as her attitude. All right, so we in the land of the hands of our enemies, man. All right, let me go to these curses right quick. Within the scriptures, there was one in my head. Let me see if I can find it. All right, this is Deuteronomy 28:49. Yahweh Shemashah shall bring a nation against thee from the far end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, as swift as the eagle and whose nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Here's the point. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Okay? All right, so Esau Edom, he showed no favor to the so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American Indian, man, woman, or child, man. Okay? You see what he just did to that. Yeah, I just read to you what he did to that baby and the woman that had the baby within her stomach, man. Okay? All right, let's go to another story. All right, apprehended for allegedly killing his white employer, Luther Hallberg and his wife found themselves subjected to mob justice in Dodgeville, Mississippi in 1904. Some 100,000 people stood and watched as self-appointed executioners went about their business, engaging in the increasingly familiar ritual of torture, mutilation, and murder. All right. What's the scripture say about murder, man? All right. Don't do it, basically, right? But let me get Leviticus 24:17. All right. And this is Leviticus 24:17. And he that killeth any man shall surely be put to death. All right. So Esau, the Lord's going to put you to death, and he's going to do it by way of the men of the Lord. And I'm going to get that in the book of Ezekiel, the 25th chapter. But let me finish reading this. A reporter from the Vicksburg Evening Post described the execution of the Hallbergs as this. When the two Negroes were captured, they were tied to trees, and while the funeral pyres were being prepared, they were forced to suffer the most fiendish torture. The blacks, that's what they call us, right, were forced to hold out their hands while one finger at a time was chopped off. The fingers were distributed as souvenirs. The ears of the murderers were cut off. All right, the so-called murderers, man. All right. But this is just their description of what happened. Holbert was then beaten severely, his skull fractured, and one of his eyes knocked out of the socket, hung on by a shred from the socket. The most excruciating form of punishment consisted in the use of large corkscrew in the hands of some of the mob. This instrument was bored into the flesh of the man and woman in the arms and legs and body, and then pulled out the spirals, tearing out big pieces of raw, quivering flesh every time it was withdrawn. All right, that's the wickedness of Esau, man. And guess what? We about to come into a time called Jacob's trouble, and the atrocities that we are reading and that I'm reading through the spirit in this book is not going to compare to what's about to happen out here, man. Okay, it's about to be 18 million, gazillion, billion, zillion times worse, man, than the atrocities that I'm reading here, man. Okay, all right. Let me keep reading. Hallberg and his employer had quarreled before the murder, but there was no evidence to implicate Hallberg's wife. Two blacks mistaken for Luther Hallberg had already been slain by a posse. So Esau Edom is just on a rampage, killing Jake, man. Okay, and there's so many more Jakes, man. All right. Let's read Lee Walker. All right, and I'm gonna get some more scriptures. 1 year earlier, near Memphis, the same kind of violence had been afflicted on Lee Walker, removed from county jail and hanged from a telegraph pole after his skin had been cut into ribbons by the mob. As Walker swung on the pole, excuse me, blood streaming down his body from the knife wounds, the crowd hurled explicitives at him. The Negro died hard, one observer wrote. The neck was not broken, and death came by strangulation. For fully 10 minutes after he was strung up, the chest heaved occasionally, and there were convulsions movements of the limbs. But the crowd had not finished. Throwing the body into a fire, they watched with astonishing coolness and nonchalance as it burned. Finally, the relic hunters moved in to retrieve portions of the rope and what was left of the charred body. All right, so it's a repetitive pattern that Esau will kill you, keep souvenirs. Why do you think they got movies like Saw and The Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things of that sort of nature, man? And those things are going to be coming back here in this time, man, to get the 2/3 of our people, man. Okay. It's way more, that I'm gonna read, but I need to get some scriptures, all right, because it's all about, these scriptures coming out and showing Esau, making Esau bear, basically, and that's what we're doing through the Spirit of the Lord. When we do these lessons, when we go out on the highways and byways, when we try our best to edify the sheep and bring to the light the wickedness of this damn devil, all right. So I got Obadiah chapter 1, and we'll start at 10. This is Obadiah chapter 1. I'm gonna start at 9. I'm gonna start at 8. Shall I not in that day, save Yahweh Shema Shai, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter. So you slaughtered Jake with what I'm reading in this book. So we're going to be able to slaughter you through the Spirit of the Lord. And I'm going to get that in the book of Ezekiel. All right. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right. And we are bringing forth the things that you have done, all right, to the so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native American Indians, as a proven point for why you are going to be judged in the manner in which you're going to be judged. All right, we can read Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. We can read Isaiah, the 34th chapter. We can read Revelations, the 18th chapter, the 17th chapter. It talks about how you're going to be judged, man, and it's going to be marvelous in our eyes, because we're going to be up there in the chariots looking at the people of America, you Babylonians and you Edomites, get burned by fire, man. Okay? All right? I keep speaking on Ezekiel, the 25th chapter. I'm gonna grab it because what you reap is what you sow is what you reap, man. Okay, all right. And you sowed a lot of wickedness within the world, Esau, especially by putting your hands on the Lord's people, man. All right, and you're gonna pay for that. and you're gonna pay for it by the way of Yahabashim outside and his people, like I'm about to read. All right, this is Ezekiel chapter 25. I'm gonna start at 12. Thus saith Yahweh power, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. All right, and how did Esau do that? Look at what he's doing to you, Jake, today, man. You got Jake getting their kids taken away from them for unjust means. You got Jake still getting shot down in the street. You got Jake kids disappearing, Jake men and women disappearing. All right, getting probably set up for ritual sacrifices, or get sent off to sex slave camps and being being in the sex trafficking game. All right, all types of stuff, man. Those are the things that you have done against the children of Israel, man. And there's more that we don't know about, man. And the little that I know about, man, you got the African Dodger game. You got a bunch of stuff, man. You got the Gator bait stuff. You got the Negro barbecue stuff. You got the lynching and the hanging. And I know brothers know way more than that, right? But that's how you have avenged yourself on Jacob, man, because of that perpetual hatred that you have for your brother, man, based on the blessings that the Lord gave him through the Spirit, man. We're going to get that in Romans 9 and 11. But Ezekiel 25 and 13, therefore, thus saith Yahweh power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. So you so-called Negro Latinos and Native American Indians, you're gonna get revenge on Esau Edom based on the means of Yahweh Shem Al Shai. Okay, we know men are gonna receive spiritual power. We know the Lord is gonna come. We know thermonuclear missiles are gonna come, and we know 2/3 of our people is gonna be out there acting like niggas, just killing Edomites just for the damn show of it, man, just for like the sport of it, man. When Jacob's trouble comes, all right, because there's gonna be unrest in America, man. There's gonna be unrest throughout the world, but basically here in America, and there's gonna be nobody's gonna regard their neighbor, basically, man. Okay, like the scripture saying, Second Ezra. All right, continuing on in verse 14, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh power. All right, so men are going to get those spiritual powers. The Lord is going to lift up that standard, man. And once we see Jacob's trouble, all right, which is coming, man, because that's one thing that we need to see, and it has to come to pass before we get up out of here. But once that thing happens, once Jacob's trouble happens, we know we are closer to the end of this kingdom, and we know that we are closer to the end of this society. All right, but the hand of the Lord, which is Yahweh Shai, all right, is going to be stretched out upon Edom, and just liking that until Yahweh Shai coming down and the chariots cracking those clouds, man, and making war with Esau Edom, and then the Lord doing what he has to do with us in the spirit to give us those spiritual powers, so we can do what we got to do for the Lord as well, man, on that end. But all these atrocities, Esau, you have done, you're going to pay for them, man. Okay, all right. You got the lynching of a man. I'm gonna show some of these pictures, and then I'm gonna get into some more scriptures. Then I'm probably gonna read like one or two more points out of it. But you got stuff like this right here, man. Okay. Yeah, Esau has a lot to pay for, man. And this is only a little bit, man. Okay, this is only a little bit. All right, Esau defied. It's the scriptures say, the Lord's going to destroy those that destroy the earth. You know, so Esau got to pay for that. All right, look at this. All right, Esau got to pay for all this, man. All right, you got Jake's head being cut off and being burnt at the stake right here. All right, you can't. I'm looking at the camera, but I'm not looking at the picture. That's why I be pointing the wrong way. But Salak on that, right? And then you got in here. Look at this. You see all these Edomites in the background. Okay, watching Jake get hung, and within the stories that they tell in here, they let the kids out of school to watch these atrocities. They let the workers off of work early to go watch these atrocities that happen to Jake. And all those that watch, man, the Lord got a special judgment for y'all, man. Okay, all right. The Lord got a special judgment for y'all damn Edomites, man. All right, you got 2 Jakes being hung right here, and I'm sure there's more people in the background than what they show right here. Okay, look at this. The same thing that was on that Google picture of the Negro barbecue right here in this book, man. All right. Look at this. They probably cut this man's rod off right here. Okay. All right. And Esau used this. It's because of this perpetual hatred. Look at this. This is probably smoke. I guarantee you, this is smoke from them lighting Jake on fire, man. Okay. All right. And look at all these damn Edomites, man. All right. They got to pay for this, man. All right. Y'all so-called white people got to pay for this, man. And y'all gonna pay for it by the hand of the Lord, man. And the Lord's gonna allow us to get vengeance on you, man. All right. I think it's in. This is Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So Esau, Edom, you sow destruction and wickedness and decay within the world, and that's what you're gonna get, man. You're gonna get that brought upon your own head, man. You sow violence in the world, you sow deceit in the world, okay, and that's what you're gonna receive, man. All right, all because you chose to hate your brother for something that he received through the Spirit of the Lord. And I'm gonna grab that. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 11. For the children, all right, this is talking about Esau and Jacob, all right, because if you read up, it's talking about Rebekah and Isaac, all right. If you read up a verse, for the children being not yet born, neither have done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. So the purpose of election, man, who is the elect, man? That's of you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. All right, and what's the purpose of the Lord? And the purpose of everything that the Lord has done is basically to glorify him, and the destruction of Esau, Edom, and us being saved up out of this wicked society. We're gonna be glorifying the Lord, right? But the whole point is that the Lord has selected certain things and certain people to follow within certain places of the prophecies, man. So within Esau, Edom's place within the prophecy, he's the evil guy, all right? He's the evil person, all right, which he has shown in a large amount of his actions to you so-called New Latinos and Native American Indians, and y'all still want to cling on to this man, all right? But Jacob, Israel, all right, we are the good people of the prophecies, and because of our iniquities to the Lord, serving other gods, we are on the shit end of the stick right now. But at the end of the day, Yahweh Shema Shai is going to come deliver us, all right? I'm going to keep reading verse 12. This is Romans 9 and 12. And it was said unto her, the elder, which is Esau, shall serve the younger, which is Jacob. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with Yahweh? Yahweh forbid. Okay, so what the Lord chooses and how he wants things to play out, we're reading it, all right? We out there preaching it, and we are living within the time of prophecy, man. So everything that the Lord wants to play out is happening. All right, so what Esau's perpetual hatred told you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and him showing it, okay, by his actions, is what was supposed to happen, man. Okay. All right. We got a few more scriptures. This is Amos chapter 1, and verse 11. Thus saith Yahweh Shema Shai, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof. What's the punishment? All right. Esau, Edom basically being gone or done away with forever, man. All right. Because he did pursue his brother with the sword and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually and kept his wrath forever. So Esau Edom has that perpetual hatred from the time that he said, after the death of my father, I'm going to kill my brother Jacob. And he's still doing it. Okay, he's still doing it. All right. And he's doing it through numerous ways, man. All right, and you so-called Negro Latinos and Native American Indians need to wake up, man. All right, because the so-called white man is not your friend. No matter if he hands you food or no matter if he hands you $1,000,000, there's something behind that, man. There's some type of deceit behind that. Okay, all right. I'm gonna read one more, and then I'm gonna close out with Genesis 9:6. Um, there's so many, man. There's so many. Damn, there's so many. All right, this is a Jake that was bold. So this is Henry Nobles of Winchester, Tennessee, confessed his crime and asked his friends to meet him in glory. All right, and we know the glory. All right, he made known through the Spirit. I don't know, but we know the glory of the Lord is up there in heaven. All right, and we know that the kingdom of heaven is going to be down here. So maybe this man is up there waiting. I don't know, but the whole point is, let me keep reading. He mounted the stump stolidly and laughed as he told the mob, "Tell all my sisters and my brother to meet me and brothers to meet me in glory. I am going to make that my home. Tell my mother to meet me where partying will be no more." And where is partying not going to be anymore? Guess what? In the kingdom of heaven, man. Okay. So this man was bold. I'm gonna look up that word stolidly. All right. But this man was bold. He was bold enough to tell his executors that, hey, you know what? Basically, y'all can kiss my so-called black ass. Tell my people to meet me in glory. All right. And we know that the glory that we're going to receive. All right. We know glory is going to be here in the kingdom of heaven, man. All right, where there's going to be no more pain, no more death, no more sorrow, death but righteousness, where we had a lost age commandments on our inward parts, and we're going to be living forever, and that's happiness. That's glory, man. But first, we got to go through trials and tribulations, but we're going to receive that glory, how our desire we endure to the end, all right? But we got to have this same mindset that this man had, all right? He when I read this the other day, he reminded me of one of the seven brothers, man, that those men that stood stiffly for the Lord, even their mother, you know? All right, and that's in Second Ezra. I mean, not Second Ezra, the book of the second book of Maccabees. All right, all right. Continuing on, taken from the stump. This is about Henry Knowles. He was then chained to a tree and his body saturated with oil. Soon the quivering body was enveloped in flame. A lynch mob in Kirkburg, Georgia, agreed to the victim's request, and they take it and they take his picture and send it to his sister. She collapsed upon receiving the photo showing him hanging on a tree. All right. It's these atrocities, Esau, you got to pay for, man. Okay. And there's plenty of more, man, that I didn't get to finish reading. All right, because it's like 40 pages thick of atrocities that Esau has committed, man. All right, maybe more. Let me see. Just the hangings. Yeah, it's about 44 pages, man. And I was only at page 19 when I finished. When I stopped reading yesterday. I'm gonna read this one. All right, this is about Lloyd Clay. All right, even some ordinarily unsympathetic white Mississippians thought the lynching of Lloyd Clay in Vicksburg in 1919 might have been misguided. A 22-year-old day laborer from a respected family, Clay was accused of rape, even though the victim denied he had been her assailant. Overly zealous to remove Clay from the jail, the mob accidentally shot two whites. So it's an accident that they shot these two white people, whatever. Still, they carried off the execution clumsily, trying to hang him and finally burning him alive near the center of town. Newspapers called it hideous and horrible, one of the worst lynchings in history. And at least one newspaper thought Clay was probably an innocent one wholly out of the class of the bad Negro. All right, and at the end of the day, we know everybody should receive judgment from the Lord based on the actions of their past life, man. All right, so that's why we got to have faith in the Lord and pray that the Lord, through His great mercy, all right, has cleansed us of our sins, and our judgment is to receive salvation out of this place, man. Okay, so we don't have to, die atrocious deaths, and not being afraid of death is something that's going to get us through the trials and tribulations. So we also got to remember that, the Lord's not going to forsake us, even in the times of our adversity. Okay, all right, and we have to remember that some brothers are going to be put to death for this testimony. And if that's you, be strong in the Lord. Okay, all right, be strong in the might of the Lord. All right, but this is my closing precept. This is Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Yahweh, made he men. So the whole point is that if you shed a man's blood, your blood must be shed by men. And that's what happened unto you, Esau, through the spirit power Yahweh Shema Shah. All right, Lord will you was edified. And I want to say Shalom Yahweh Shema Shah Barakatham to you brothers that watched this video with me, the water for being here. But I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Shem Shai, by Shem Kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who move on the teach well. And I want to say Shalom to the hopeful elect, Kwam Yasharala, and Mawaf Flower Ball. Shalom. Hey, just remember, Esau Edom is not your friend, all right? He never will be. And Shalom, Akim Yahweh Shem Shai Barakatham. Shalom.